Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is how most techniques in martial arts are multifunctional. They was designed so they could be used for weapons, striking, or grappling, okay? Rather than having to learn one system for striking, another system for grappling, another system for weapons, it made much more sense to have one integrated set of movements that they could use for all purposes. So to start off with, I'm just going to look at the basic movements, outside block, inside block, and rising block, and look at different ways we can use them in those three purposes. So if I can borrow Paul, I'm going to be assisted by my Grandmaster assistants, Mr. Hook. Okay, that's a disappointment for you, isn't it, my Grandmaster assistant? Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to take the first one, Sotoyuki, outside block. Okay, now traditionally they're called blocks, but in reality they don't really work as blocks. If you just do about 5 minutes sparring where you're not allowed to parry or brush aside and you're only allowed to do formal blocks, you'll find it don't work. Okay, so if you don't believe me, try it with a friend, do a few minutes sparring, you'll find they don't work as blocks. So we're going to start off with just a freestyle situation, please. Okay, the first thing, using the outside block, I can use that as an arm lock. So if Paul is to grab my hand, okay, he grabs my hand, I twist around, I lock his arm out, and then I can use it, I can either use it, attack the elbow joints, and maybe pop the joints, or I can come up a little bit higher up onto the tricep and put an arm lock on. Again, I've got my hikate hand pulling back to the hip, I've got the twisting in there, so again, that's all the functions of the block there. So I show again, he grabs, okay, I twist around, grab him, then in that position, pull and twist around as we normally do, and we've got an arm lock there. Obviously, I can use that as a strike as well. Bang, just hitting around the chin. One of my favourite ones actually, when we extend the reaction hand, is to use that one as an attack to the neck. Okay, because what happens if you press in the neck, you normally get a gag reflex and the mouth opens and you get that gag reflex, and as the jaw opens, it makes it easier to break the jaw. Okay, so that's quite a nice little one, gag reflex, bang, break the jaw. Okay, so that's different ways we can use the Sotoyuki. If we look at the Agiyuki, the rising block, okay, again, I can use it as a strike. If you just step forward a little bit, please. So if Paul does, if you use that hand, please, if he does like a haymaker, because most people attack with like a swinging punch rather than martial art techniques, so it comes in with a haymaker, I can use the reaction hand as a block, then I can trap, step in, and I use the Agiyuki, the rising block, like an uppercut. Now, there's a couple of advantages here. With an uppercut, you require a certain amount of accuracy. Just a few inches or a few centimeters either side and you might miss. When you're growing up with a whole forearm, it's actually quite difficult to miss. The other thing is when you perform the technique, it actually goes slightly forward. So I can use that actually, hit against the chest and just roll up into his neck. Okay? So it requires a lot less accuracy than an uppercut does. And also you've got the twist on the end of the technique, which drives into the neck at the end and takes him off balance. Now, if we do it from the other side, please, so if he attacks with that hand, so he comes round, I block it, trap, step in. Now, if I pull here, like we do normally as we're doing our basics, and push at the same time, it's quite easy to take him off balance. I just need to step forward a little bit there, and he'll go down. Okay, so we'll show you that one again. Okay, he swings, I block, trap, come through, break his balance, and just take him down. Okay, it's just a little push from that position once his structure's broken. Okay, so you can use it as a strike, you can use it as a takedown. I have seen it used another way before, which is not quite such an easy one. If you come in with a straight punch, okay? So using the reaction hand there as a block, trap, and then attacking the elbow, so you've got a joint break. That one requires a bit more accuracy, so it's not quite such an easy one to do, but it's another possibility to think about. Okay, thank you. Now the uchiuki, or inside block. Okay, again, that can be used as a strike. Again, as I mentioned before, I can use a strike to the neck, get that gag reflex, and then strike to the jaw. Okay, I can just use that hand to hide my intention a little bit. So, the hand's up there, he can only see this hand because it's in his vision, doesn't see what this hand is doing, bang, comes up, strikes from an angle outside his line of sight. So there's a striking application. If he grabs my wrist, cross grab, okay, I can also use it as a release. So I step round, there, release. And then I've got a line up to his ribs for a punch, or whatever I like, okay? So again, it grabs again, okay? If he's very strong, and I don't think I can do that, he's got a good grip, I can use that one as a distraction. Just use the reaction hand's distraction, go to the eyes, or go to the throat, whatever, or just put the hand in the face, and then come around with the uchiuki to get the release. And again, I've got the line up for their stamp, punch, whatever, okay? Thank you. Now, I mentioned earlier on that karate was designed to be used with weapons as well. So if we look at the staff, I'm going to do the Shotokan, the outside block with the staff. I'm going to ask Paul to do it unarmed. So just get in the forward stance, please. Okay, so without the step. So if we do the technique together, okay, you can see it looks as I'm back. And again, you can see it looks very much the same. We've both got the hand anchored at the on the hip, which is important because if the hand's not anchored on the hip, this one tends to wave around a lot more, so you've got to anchor it. If we look at the uchiuki, the inside block, okay, again, same movement, okay. If we look at the agiuki, sometimes they use the staff as a block there. So if I'm using it as a block there, okay, now if I take that hand away, or let's take the staff away, you can see it's practically the same movement there. Okay, so again, comes up as a block. So you can see that with a weapon, the movements are practically the same as we're using in the basic form. So it was definitely designed to be integrated with weapons, grappling, and with striking. However, in this day and age, we're not allowed to carry a staff down the road with us. We're not allowed to carry weapons. Although I use that with a long weapon, the Okinawans also use it with short weapons, like the sai, the tonfa, shorter weapons. But bearing in mind that it was designed to be used with weapons, if you want to think in terms of makeshift weapons, so say a mobile phone, okay, I can use it there with the inside block, with a rising block, with a down block, okay? All these techniques I can use my mobile phone for. And most of us have got a mobile phone. You see people carrying away, they're texting away, they're talking to each other. They've very often got their mobile phone in their hands. And again, it fits in just perfectly using the mobile phone as a striking implement. Just come forward a little bit. Now, one of the exercises I do with my members now and again is to do their basics with their mobile phones or any implement that can be in their hand. It could be a pen, it could be keys, it could even be a torch. A torch is a great one as well. It's a nice, some of them are made of metal. This one's hardened rubber. It sticks out both sides of my hand. Bang. You can see that would be very, very nasty as an improvised weapon. Okay, so one of the exercises we do, now I mentioned earlier on that when we're doing our basics, we are learning on several different levels. We're learning the body mechanics, we're learning the body awareness. But when we actually apply it, we don't actually need to do the formal technique. So if I'm using this to strike, because he's assaulting me, I don't actually need to use a reaction hand there. I can use that to keep him at bay and hit him with. Okay, I don't need to use a reaction hand here. Okay, because if he sees I've got a weapon to hit him with, he's likely to try and grab it, isn't he? So if he tries to grab my weapon, I've got my reaction hand there. Other hand might be easier. Okay, yeah, that's a bit better. So if he's trying to grab my weapon, I can then use it to strike his arm until his arm hurts. Then he withdraws his arm, and then I can strike wherever I want. Yeah? So it's quite basic. I'm only looking at Sotoyuki there, okay? Again, if he tries to grab, I can take it there, I come around that way or down there, okay? I don't need to use the reaction hand when I'm using it in application, as we discussed earlier on. Right, another makeshift weapon, which is very often overlooked, and lots of people carry it around with them all the time, is simply glasses. Okay, if they're taken off, folded over, held in the palm of the hand, just like we was talking about with mobile phone or torches. Again, most glasses are made with metal frames. Hitting someone around the side of the head with a metal frame, very painful. Okay, if you're in a situation where you're being threatened, someone's going to like threatening you and shouting abuse at you, it's quite casually, look mate, I don't want any problems. Can we talk about this without fighting? Can we sort this out? And here you are, you're lined up. It's a very, very casual movement. It doesn't look offensive at all. It looks like you're protecting yourself, because most people don't like to be hit with glasses on, glass going in your eyes. So it actually looks like you're taking them off to protect yourself rather than be offensive. But when you just use neutral body language, look, I don't want any trouble. Can we talk about this? It's actually lined up here for a strike. Okay, so not to be underestimated. You may damage your glasses, but if it's a choice between damaging your glasses and you being seriously hurt, I would suggest you sacrifice your glasses. They can be replaced easier than you can. Now, when it comes to legal implications for using weapons, makeshift weapons, you've got to check the law in your country or in your state. In this country where I come from, the UK, we're not allowed to carry weapons. Okay? If you are to carry something that is not a weapon, with the intention of using it as a weapon, that is still illegal. So, if I'm carrying a torch around with me, and I never go out at night, that might be a bit questionable in a court of law. If I do go out at night and I go into a dark car park, or I've got to come home in an unlit area, then yeah, I've got cause to have a torch in my pocket, or ladies in your handbag. So again, bear that in mind, that it's got to be something, or particularly in the UK, it should be something that you've got a reason to carry. Okay? But you can see they fit in hand in glove with all your basic movements. Okay? If you come from a different country to the UK, you'll have to check the law in your country. So thank you very much. Okay, when I talk about grappling, okay, we're talking in a very basic sense. I'm not talking about Western style sport grappling or submission grappling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu type grappling. What we're talking about is if somebody puts you in a headlock, or if somebody grabs hold of your arm, we're talking about releases from locks and restraints, okay? As karateka and traditional martial artists, our primary weapons are strikes. If somebody puts us in a lock, very often we're not able to strike properly, so you need to get out of the lock so we are in a position to strike again. And that should be the main aim of our grappling, is to release ourselves from holds and restraints so that we can strike. Okay, we do have some restraints ourselves, because it's not always necessary to hit somebody or give somebody a nasty blow or a kick. Sometimes we do want to restrain them rather than seriously hurt them. But again, we're looking at basic restraints. We're not talking about submission grappling. From our perspective, from a self-protection point of view, you do not want to be rolling around on the ground grappling with somebody for two reasons. I mean, first of all, there's broken glass and dog poo and all kinds of stuff on the ground. You don't really want to be rolling around on that. Also, when it comes to grappling, it's brilliant one-on-one. Brilliant. And this is why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and styles like that do really, really well in the MMA and in the ring or in the cage. But from a street perspective, if I'm rolling around on the floor with somebody, I maybe get the better of it, I'm on top of him doing the old ground and pound, and his mate comes from behind and hits me on the back of the head with a bottle, I've got absolutely no chance, okay? I can't even see the guy coming. So we do not want to be on the ground. That is very much last resort. And anytime you do end up on the ground, you want to get back up as quick as you can, okay? So like I say, grappling, from our perspective, is to get out of a hold or a lock, or maybe to restrain somebody else. It's not full-on submission grappling. That's not going to work.